Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamatyam Niriham Nirakaram Onkaravetyam Yato Jayate Palyate Yena Vishwam Tamisham Bhaje Liyate Yatra Vishwam Namah Shri Atirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Netapaharine Hari Om Tat Sat Hari Om Tat Sat Hari Om Tat Sat. My dear friends, it's really a very special feeling to have come here in this very prestigious institution which is connected with Swami Vivekananda, whose birthday we celebrated yesterday, and tomorrow we are going to celebrate the National Youth Day, which falls every year on his birthday, 12th January. Really speaking, it's a great honor to speak about this phenomenon called Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda is not a page of history. He is a living force. Why I'm saying that he is a living force? Because he is the source from where millions and millions of people are getting direction to lead a more meaningful and purposeful life. That is Vivekananda. He is alive. He is alive in and through his ideas. In the beginning of the session, some of our brahmacharis, they chanted Vedic mantras. Those beautiful sounds, mantras, Vedas. It takes us back to the most hoary past. We don't know when. No one can determine the starting point of those rishis who had discovered these mantras belonging to Vedas. Now see, the very mantras are giving me a background to start my talk, of which Vivekananda was the greatest proponent. When we talk about Vivekananda, you remember one thing. We had lost faith in these mantras 100 years back. And even today, many of us, we don't have that kind of shraddha and faith in what these mantras actually represent. It was Vivekananda was the first person who once again made us understand what this great Vaidika Dharma stands for. Anyway, I'll come to that point a little later. And after that, we heard the Swadesha Mantram read by one of our students here, Swadesha Mantram. See, many things are coming to my mind. I'm just going to place certain scattered ideas before all of you. You have to organize them. Now, when we listen to this Swadesha Mantram, which Swami Vivekananda wrote somewhere in the last decade of the 19th century. Imagine, Vivekananda is constantly talking about India as a nation, Swadesham, Swarashtram. You see, many questions will rise in our mind. There are presently many narratives existing in this country that India was not a nation before 1947. Question mark. I leave it to you to investigate into this matter. Vivekananda was the first person to make us understand this so-called Bharatavarsha existed as a nation, not in the modern political sense. Definitely not in the modern political sense. But it existed as a nation, as a cultural unit, as a civilizational unit, which had one common seed, one common root. I'll touch upon that point. What goes into the making of a nation? It's very interesting. Vivekananda's words are so striking. Swadesha. In the last decade of the 19th century, he is referring to India as a Desham, as a Rashtram. And there are many modern scholars, we all have been, educated or miseducated, better to use the term miseducated, by all these wrong narratives, most of the narratives born from European academics, and we have been educated in that line. That's why in the present day young generation, you will find it's not their fault. We have groomed them, the mind is being groomed, and they have been made to look at India through the Western lens. As long as we don't once again remove this Western lens and learn to look upon India from the lens of our own great masters like Vivekananda, we shall never be able to understand what India is. That's why a very famous statement is there by a great thinker of India, that if you have to understand India, read Vivekananda. If you want to understand what Hindu Dharma is, read Vivekananda. Please take this point very seriously. Many questions will be very challenging to our present day misconclusions, I should say. Again, education, miseducation, conclusions, wrong conclusions, because these conclusions have arrived by looking at this great nation from a foreign lens. We need to put the right spectacle to understand what Bharatvarsha is and what this great Hindu Dharma is. And that lens is the lens of Swami Vivekananda. Now, see, Swami Vivekananda has spoken about the future of India. Again, I'm referring to a time frame in the last decade of the 19th century. When Vivekananda came back from America, I don't want to go into those details. Everybody knows, most of us, those who are admirers of Vivekananda, you have read his life and you know the events. After his American visit, he comes back in 1897 to India, after having made the world understand the glory of Bharatvarsha, after having the world understand the glory of Vaidika Sanatana Dharma, Hindu Dharma. This great Yugacharya comes back to India in 1897, and one of his, an explosive addresses to the entire Indian subcontinent was given in Tamil Nadu in Ramnad. I request all of you to please revisit that lecture. It is there in Lectures from Colombo to Almora. Every Indian should read that lecture. His address in Ramnad. There Vivekananda is visualizing the future of India. See, Vivekananda was a rishi, a person who had the foresight and the vision to look into the future, several centuries into the future. And he had made certain predictions about the future of India. It's so poetic, and I'm tempted to repeat it. Perhaps I have repeated it in several of my talks, and I will keep on repeating it maybe till the end of my life. Because these words are literally electrifying, and it can instill a tremendous pride and confidence in all of us Indians. We need that pride. We have to have some amount of pride. Little bit of fanaticism, it doesn't matter. Instead of being dead souls, we have to be awake and have some amount of spine and fanaticism. It's good. Too much of liberalism without individuality, it's a sham. Before we talk about universalism, first you have to be an individual. We don't have individuality and we are talking about universalism. It is baseless. First be a strong individual, understand your own roots. We, as a people, where do we stand? Our identity, that has to be first understood. Then we can embrace the entire world as one family. This is what Vivekananda had taught. So in that great lecture address, Swami Vivekananda says, beautiful words, electrifying words, about the future of India. He is saying that the longest night seems to be passing away. The sorest trouble seems to be coming to an end at last. The seeming corpse appears to be awakening. India, this motherland, is awakening from her deep, long slumber. None can resist her anymore. No outward power can hold her back anymore. Never again is she going to sleep anymore, for I am seeing that this great motherland of ours is awakening to her feet. Just look at his words. He is telling this in the last decade of the 19th century, when India was completely drowned in darkness. A slave country, every citizen of this country being bashed up by the so-called Europeans, humiliated. We know, I don't have to go into those dark chapters of Indian history. What was the condition of the Indians at that time? Steeped in poverty, slavery, and the Indians, we had lost faith in our own dharma, and we had lost faith in who we are, and we had started to imitate the Westerners. This Swadesha mantra, the first line says, "Oh Indians, how long are you going to be so slavish? This slavish imitation of foreign cultures?" You have to first understand who you are. This entire Swadesha mantra, it's a beautiful document to understand who we are as a people. So in that address to the Ramnath, this one, Swamiji says, you see, I am seeing this India is awakening from a deep, long slumber. At last, India is awakening. I am seeing like that my motherland is awakening from her sleep. And the words are so striking. Again, she is not going to sleep anymore, and none can resist her progress from now onwards. Very important words. Now, if you just look into the India's trajectory after that period till 2025 today, from that state of being in an abject poverty and slavery, today in 2025, we, with all our defects, with all our shortcomings, today India is fifth largest, fourth largest economy in the world. Very soon we are going to be the third largest economy in the world. How did this happen? In that, Vivekananda has got a very big role to play. And at that time, in that very talk, Swamiji says, you see, he was seeing the India rising in his eyes. But he was not just a poet to describe or to paint a very beautiful, snowy picture. He gave practical instructions how we are going to reconstruct India and build India of the future. He had referred one point very, very firmly and with great emphasis. He had stated that, you see, the future of India entirely depends upon 3 points. Please write it down, and this is burningly relevant even today. He had said that the future of India entirely depends upon 3 points. Which are these 3 points? He says, number 1, unity, organization. Mark his words. In the last decade of 19th century, Vivekananda is saying, we have to be united. Number 2, coordination of wills. Our wills have to be coordinated. Our wills. Just imagine, he was talking about India of the last decade of 19th century. At that time, Indian population was 30 crores. Today, we are 140 crores. Number doesn't matter, but what really matters is unity. Even today, this is a big issue in this country. It's a burning issue. If we are not united, we will have to face the consequences of this big blunder of being disunited. Vivekananda says the first thing that the future of India completely depends upon is unity, organization. Number 2, coordination of wills. And number 3, accumulation of power, Shakti. If India has to be strong, it has to accumulate power, Shakti. And accumulation of power will not happen when our people are not united, when our wills are not coordinated. It won't happen. Just imagine, Vivekananda is telling this in the last decade of the 19th century. Why? He had seen this great leader of the great nation builder. He was the first nation builder that we have in the modern India. He had walked through the length and breadth of this land. And he had seen how we are so badly disunited and broken and fragmented. Fragmented in so many lines. linguistic lines, casteist lines, and so many. I don't want to give the list. We are broken and fragmented society. This is what Vivekananda had seen in the last part of the 19th century. And this was the one reason Vivekananda says why every Tom, Dick and Harry comes here and rules us. These barbarous invaders who came here 1,000 years ago, they could dominate us in one way only because our kings were never united. Though we are one culture, one civilization, we have always remained bickering with each other. That was the one reason why these invaders and foreigners came and ruled us. After the Islamic invaders came the English. They ruled us for more than 200 years. Why? Swamiji gives a very beautiful example. You see, it is really very shocking. A handful of Englishmen coming. Swamiji even gives his number. He says, 4 crore Englishmen ruling 30 crore Indians. Is it not absolute, what should I say, ridiculous? How can 4 people rule 30 people? Is it possible? Unless these 30 people are not united, it is because these 30 people were not united, a small number of 4 people could dominate them and literally humiliate them, make them lose their identity, and they could rule over these 30 people for 200 years. It's a lesson to learn from history. And this problem continues even today. See, we are remembering this great teacher. We have to be very practical. This man wanted us to learn some lessons from history. The future India completely depends upon this unification of our own people. If we don't get unified, be ready for other debacle in future. It is going to come in some way or the other. It's already happening. Even today, if you just look into our Indian society, how much we keep on bickering over the small, petty things. We may be speaking different languages, 18, 20, 24 different languages. Doesn't matter which language you speak. We are one people. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Gujarat to Assam, Mizoram, we are one people, one race. Vivekananda used to address us as Aryaputras. This is Arya Bhumi, the Bhumi of Aryas. So, this narrative which we have been tutored with, narration of what? India was not a nation before 1950. Ridiculous. Yes, 1950, in a very technical sense, politically, we became a republic. That's fine. But was not India a nation? It was a rastram, always one cultural unit, one civilizational unit. And what actually made them one unit, that is very important. The nationhood of this country. Next point. The first point, what I wanted to emphasize is, see, we have to, what would Vivekananda talk to all of us today if he is alive here today? I am sure he would repeat this very point. If he sees the present day India, there are many reasons for him to be delighted, of course. At the same time, there are many reasons for him to be pained, seeing the same old disease continuing even 100 years of his advent. We have still not learned that lesson. We are one people. You may be speaking different languages, doesn't matter. The blood which is coursing in our veins, it is the blood of the same rishis. We should know our ancestry. We should know our DNA. We are all one people. No matter which faith you profess, no matter which language you speak, we are all one people. This unity, coordination of will, just imagine 140 crore people, if our wills are coordinated, power will be accumulated. Shakti will be accumulated. And we, if 140 crore people, it's such a beautiful picture. If we have one mission, one vision, and if we are united with one idea, just imagine what a force India can be today, this very moment. It is very interesting, in spite of all these divisions, India is becoming so powerful. Just imagine what will happen if we all really become united. When our minds, when our thoughts, everything begin to tingle to the same tune. When we all sing the same song of nationalism, Rashtravan, what will happen? What powerful nation this India can become, even today, this very moment. The secret lies in unity, which Swami Vivekananda had told 120 years back, a warning to all of us. The future of India entirely depends upon this one factor of being coordinated, organized, and unified. If we are not unified, be ready to face further debacles in this nation. We are seeing what is happening in the neighboring countries. Let us open our eyes and know the realities and facts, the price that we have to pay if we are not standing united. It's a very, very passionate appeal which Vivekananda makes to his own people. My dear children, understand we are one people, we have to stand united. It's a very passionate appeal to every citizen of this country. So I was just referring to that point. 4 crore Englishmen ruling 30 crore Indians. Ridiculous. And over 200 years, somebody says if these 30 crore people decide, they can make a chutney of these 4 crore people. This is what is the word. Swami Vivekananda says if these 30 crore people, if we had been united, we could have made chutney of these 4 crore people. But how these 4 crore people ruled us for 200 years? Ridiculous. The only reason is we never were united. We were fighting on all petty things. And this disease is even now continuing. So this is the one big lesson that we have to learn if we have to build a strong, invincible Bharat, for which Vivekananda has given this mantra: be unified, be united. In unification lies Shakti, accumulation of power. Otherwise, be ready to face the consequences. It's like that. Second point. Now, where lies the nationhood of this country? We were talking about India as a nation. Where lies this Rashtrahood of this country? India was not a nation in a very political sense, in a technical sense. That happened only in 1950, I understand. We became a republic. That is a different matter. But even before that, we were a cultural unit, a civilizational unit, this is the oldest culture and civilization in the world. Now imagine, my dear friends, students, my brothers and sisters, we belong to the oldest living civilization in the world, the beginning of which cannot be determined by any historian. It's not possible. The oldest existing culture in this world. All the so-called Western societies, they were just born the other day. 500, 600 years is just like yesterday in terms of India's historicity. 500, 600 years is just like yesterday and day before yesterday. Let us not forget this point. Yes, today, owing to the dynamics of history, today they are on the dominant front. We understand that. We lost our ground. But we have to regain. We can regain. That is what Vivekananda said. Once again, India has to rise. Once again, India is going to be on the top of the world. This was Vivekananda's vision. And he had shown us the way how to do that. So the question is, where lies the nationhood of this great land called Bharat? Vivekananda points out, a nation, you see, is not just a geographical boundary. A country is not just a geographical boundary which we see on the map. A nation is made by its people. Its people who are united by something common. There has to be something common which unites them into one people. Now, if you just look into India's history, it's very interesting. What is that one factor which united this entire Indian subcontinent, inhabited by around 30 crore people in the, say, 19th century and even before that? What was that unifying factor? It's a big question. As I said, my dear friends, always remember, we have to shed that colonial lens. All the historians, they give all kinds of wrong narratives. Even today, if you just look into the social media, wherever there comes a discussion about India and so-called India's roots, its nationhood, nationality, all kinds of very, what should I say, non-authentic kinds of narratives you will be finding discussed. No one discusses the real point, which you will find in Swami Vivekananda. That's why, see, Vivekananda, when you begin to read Vivekananda, many of the present day conclusions which we are living with will be challenged. Which conclusion is true? You will believe these European academicians or our own great Rishi, one who knew the very pulse of this land? Vivekananda says, where lies this unifying factor as far as this nation is concerned? That one unifying factor is the great thought system of the Vedas, the great mantras which we listened in the beginning of this chanting. Can you imagine You cannot determine its historicity, when it started. These Vedas, Apaurushaya, these mantras, these beautiful, powerful sounds which can awaken the sleeping soul, these sounds were discovered, no one knows at what point of time. Some Rishi is standing on the bank of Saraswati, some Rishi is standing on the bank of Ganga, he utters these wonderful sounds which is reverberating even today, even in 2025, a living civilization, a living culture. And this entire Indian subcontinent was united by these Vedic thoughts, which is today known as Hindu Dharma. Today we are living at a time when it has become, what should I say, today we are made to feel ashamed to talk about Hinduism in this country. We will have to change the situation, I'm telling you very frankly, not in any communal sense. It is, we should know our roots, where lies our roots. Hinduism is the very root, it is the very prana, it is the very life force of this country. Minus Hinduism, there is no India, there is no Bharat. And Vivekananda was the greatest proponent of what Hinduism is. If you really want to understand what Hinduism is, read Swami Vivekananda. If you really want to understand the roots of our civilization, what this country is, read Vivekananda. Otherwise, we will never understand. And one book, I keep on saying that, the one book you should be reading is, can anyone tell me that? Many of you, you may be knowing it, what I'm going to say. Let it be uttered loudly. Please take it very seriously. This one book should be read very religiously if you really want to understand what I'm saying, and it should really ignite your soul, the sleeping soul. You should begin to feel for who we are and what makes us Indians or Bharatiyas. It is this Vedic system of thought. Mind you, one word of caution. When I'm talking about Hinduism, I'm talking about all those faiths which sprung from Vedas, which includes Jainism, Buddhism, and also Sikhism. So when I'm talking about Hinduism, it includes all these different faiths which sprung from Vedas. Sikhism, Jainism, Buddhism, they're all nothing but the babies, the child born out of the mother faith called Hinduism. There are only two faiths which came from outside. I don't want to take the names of that. You know what it is. And these faiths, the history of these faiths have been written in blood. We know that. Let us acknowledge this point. There are certain things for which we have to be very proud. Hindus are the only community which have never crossed the boundaries of this land and cut the throats of other people. It has never happened. It is a matter of great pride for all of us. That's why Vivekananda says, if any community is competent to speak about morality and ethics, it is this Hindu community alone. Today, those communities who have shed the blood of countless numbers of millions of innocent people, they lecture us on morality and ethics. They lecture us on non-violence and peace. Just imagine, that is the irony of present-day situation. Whereas this community, this Hindu community, is the only community in the history which has never shed the blood of anybody in this history. Vivekananda used to say, that is why we have been termed as mild Hindus, mild Hindus. We are so mild, we are so peace-loving people, we never hate anybody. See, I'm just sharing certain ideas which you will find scattered in Vivekananda's books. What is this Hindu community? We are the only people who practice universal love and acceptance. Why this idea of universal love and acceptance? That is running through and through our Vedic thought system. Samanvaya, this very ideology to accept everybody as one's own self. We look upon the entire world as one family. This ideology you will not find in any system of the thought in the world. And there is a scientific reason behind this. Why the Vedic rishis alone say that this entire world is one family. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, this entire planet is one family. On what basis? Not just superficial sentiments. It is coming from a profound experience, the experience of the reality, the experience of truth. When we know what the truth is, then we will understand why the Rishi says this entire globe is one family. No other community in the world can speak this language. Please write it down. These faiths which have come from outside, the so-called Semitic faiths, monotheism, what they practice is monotheistic faiths, dogmatic, fanatic. For them, it is only their community alone which is precious. Anyone who doesn't accept their system of faith, they are all deserving only two things. Either you be ready to be converted or you be ready to die. The history of these two faiths, we know, it is written in blood. Whereas it is the Hindu faith alone which say, here everybody can live in peace. We are all one. We are all one family. On the basis of what? On the basis of that reality which is throbbing in your heart, in my heart, in everyone's heart. That reality which is referred to in our Shastras, in a technical sense, the beautiful term comes, Atman. Let us know that there is no other God apart from this Atman, which is your reality, which is my reality, which is everyone's reality. And this is a matter of experience. Everybody can experience this divinity, which is the real nature of every man and every woman. It is on the basis of this divinity that Swami Vivekananda says, we are all one people. You may be living in America, somebody in Australia, somebody in Africa. We are all human beings. You can profess any faith you want, but the essential true nature of everybody is divinity. We are all united by this single thread of divinity, and that is why the Vedas, the Rishis declare, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Remember, no other community in this world speaks this language. And we have not only spoken it, this is Hindus and Indians alone have lived it. That's why Indians have always been so welcoming. And that is the one reason actually, we have been so, what should I say, so large-hearted. At the same time, we have been foolish also in one sense. Foolish in the sense that we failed to see the evil intentions of some people who came from outside. And we allowed them to play with our kindness, and we became their victims. We are so simple people actually. Hindus are very simple people. Even today you see, we are very simple people. We don't hate anybody. We don't have the idea of somebody is a stranger. It is not there in our DNA. Every Hindu child drinks this idea from the mother's breast and milk. It comes so naturally that we are all one people. We never teach our children to hate anybody. So, this is the one idea. Our nationhood stands on this basic faith, the system of thought called the Vedas. Just imagine, it is so interesting. We are here in Karnataka, speaking Kannada language. Just the neighboring state, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, speaking 3 different languages. Then we have North India, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, speaking different languages. It is so interesting. You may be speaking different languages, but look at their faith system. The person in Karnataka also worships Shiva, Rama and Krishna. The person in Rajasthan also worships Shiva, Rama and Krishna. The person in Tamil Nadu also believes the sanctity of Ganga. The person in Gujarat also believes in the sanctity of Ganga. Everyone is tied down by one common thought system. It is this common thought system which united the 30 crore people or whatever may be the population at that time. All the people living in the subcontinent, they were united by this common thought system. They might have spoken different languages, but they were one people, one nation, Aryabhumi, Aryavarta. Please, this point has to be understood very correctly. So our nationhood stands not, of course, constitution, today in the modern sense of the term, of course, it is the Constitution of India, which is the root of our nationhood, of course. But even before the Constitution was born, we were nation in a very different sense. A civilizational unit, a cultural unit. We were one people governed by a one single so-called thought system, the greatest thought system in the world called Vedas. This should be understood. Now look at the very funny thing. This Vedic thought system, this Hinduism, which is the very prana of this land, today in the name of secularism, we are literally strangulating the soul of our land. This idea of secularism, what do you mean by secularism? Today secularism as it is existing in this country, it is a perfect device to kill Hinduism. Please understand this point. Today secularism as it is understood, and as it is being implemented in this land, it is a perfect device to subjugate, to kill, to destroy this mother faith called Hindu Dharma and allow all other foreign faiths to flourish. In the name of secularism, this is what is happening. And if secularism means accepting everyone equally, in that case, Hindu Dharma alone is naturally secular. I am putting 2 standpoints, counter standpoints. Today, Hindu secularism, as it is understanding, as it is being practiced in this land, as it is being understood in this land, it is a perfect, very powerful device to put an end to Hindu Dharma and allow all other non-Vedic faith systems to flourish in this land and conquer this land. Remember one point, Swami Vivekananda says, the day Hindu Dharma dies from India, India will be dead and gone. What makes India? India is this Vedic system of thought. Let every Indian be proud about it, that we are all Indians, we are all belonging to this great Vedic Sanatana Dharma. It is this Vedic system of thought which makes India what India is. Tell me which part of the world you will find this kind of a culture and civilization? It is the most unique culture and civilization in the world. The beauty of it cannot be expressed in words. So many languages, so many customs, so many festivals, practiced and lived by so many different kinds of people, but all tied down by one common thought system, springing from the Vedas. So this secularism, we have to understand its nature and its damaging nature. If secularism is a device to put an end to Hinduism, it needs to be questioned. And if it is a mechanism to allow the so-called other foreign faiths to flourish here and killing the mother faith, it needs to be questioned. And if secularism means accepting everybody as our own, then Hinduism is the only faith which is naturally secular. Hinduism doesn't consider anybody to be a stranger. But that doesn't mean that we should allow the strangers to attack us and finish us. That common sense should be there. We know what is happening in the neighboring countries. What is the pathetic condition of Hindus there? Even in India, this being a country where there are 100 crore Hindus, what is the condition of Hindus in many of the states? Secularism. Secularism means what? A device to completely kill this mother faith and allow the foreign faiths to flourish. This needs to be questioned. Again, I'm going back to that point, what Vivekananda says, if Hindu Dharma dies from this land, India will be dead and gone. And there is, see, Hinduism in India has got a great role to play in the global scenario. Today, if you just look into the global scenario, the different wars going on, many countries at war, this unrest and peacelessness which we find in the global scenario, why? What are we fighting for? This clash between different ideologies, this clash between different races and nations, why? The answer and the solution to this problem lies only in the thought system of the Hindus. When I am referring to Hindus, I am talking about the Vedic system of thought, which alone is a scientific thought system which teaches the humanity to understand their own true nature, that everybody is divine. It is when this great wisdom is imparted to everybody in the globe, you can expect some changes to take place. As long as these monotheistic ideas dominate the world populace, I'm talking about the monotheistic ideas dominating and governing the behavior of human beings. Some God sitting somewhere up in the sky, and you believe that you will be going there after death. And we have the idea of heaven, after dying you will be going to heaven. This mumbo jumbo is good for small school-going children. Grown-up people accepting this nonsense? Where is the science in that? It is the Vedic system of thought, which alone is the scientific system of thought, which can be verified. Everything that Vedas talk about is verifiable. Everything. Read Vivekananda. It is talking about the divinity which is hidden within each human being. And this divinity can be experienced. It can be verified by everyone. Anywhere the person may be in the west, east, north, south, anywhere. Even the so-called Muslims and Christians, everybody is divine in our view. We have no hatred for anybody. I'm just placing certain facts. But we should know evil is evil and good is good. And evil has to be handled the way it deserves to be handled. We should not be surrendering our common sense at the altar of religious superstition. I repeat this point. Never surrender the common sense. Common sense is very precious. In the name of religion, sometimes we surrender this precious instrument called common sense at the altar of religious superstition. We should be able to distinguish between good and evil. And evil isn't evil. It has to be handled intelligently, the way it deserves to be handled. The only religion that Vivekananda believed in was manliness and strength. Again, I repeat this point. The religion which Vivekananda preached is the religion of manliness and strength, not of cowardice. If religion makes you weak, there's something wrong with those religious ideas. Vedas only talk about fearlessness and strength, fearlessness and strength, fearlessness and strength and freedom. That is the watchword of the Upanishads. Vivekananda thunders. What is Upanishad is going to teach us? The Vedas teach us only three things: strength, fearlessness and freedom. So these are the very foundational ideas which I have kept before all of you, for all of you to think and ruminate. Vivekananda, today we are celebrating Vivekananda's birthday. It's very burningly relevant for India. Even today in the 2025, what is going on in this country, you can see the burning relevance of Vivekananda's words. Number one, be unified. This poisonous idea of secularism as it is being put into practice in this country. Number two, it's dangerous. Anything which goes into the killing of this mother faith is dangerous. It is Hindu Dharma which is the very prana, which is the soul of this land. Vivekananda was the greatest defender of Hindu Dharma. Just imagine, my dear friends, whenever we talk about Vivekananda, the first picture that comes before our eyes is that Chicago Parliament of Religions. This lion standing there on the platform, this penniless monk standing there and addressing the world community. And what was he talking about? That speech was an explosion of the Hindu pride and the Indian pride. Two things. That speech was an explosion of Indian pride and Hindu pride, which today we have to acquire and imbibe a little bit. The more we have it, the better. We'll be stronger, we'll be better human beings. We will have some individuality. Without being individual, we want to become universal. It is foolishness. First, become a strong individual, understand who you are, understand your nationhood, understand your roots, be proud about it, and then we embrace everyone. Yes, we embrace everyone. Not out of some, what should I say, it is not a condescending attitude. It is the attitude of equality, because everybody is the same divine Atman. Hindu's attitude is not a condescending attitude. We are not taking a superiority position. It is a position of equality, samadrishti. For us, everybody is same. That is the Hindu's way of looking. I'm talking about the true Hinduism. The true Hinduism looks upon everybody as equal. It is samadarshanam. This is the only darshanam which will save the world. That is why India and Hinduism has got a very, very important seminal role to play in the world scenario in the coming decades and centuries. That is why Vivekananda had visualized about a Prabuddha Bharat and awaken India. And awaken India where there is a Hindu pride, this Hindu culture is kept alive, and awakened Hinduism, bringing about an awakened India, bringing about a beautiful world. This was Vivekananda's vision. If India has to be awakened, it has to be by awakening this mother thought system called the Vedas and the Hinduism, because this is the only thought system which can embrace the entire world community. One more point, and I will finish my talk. Vivekananda would be very sad to see one thing today in our country. He had visualized India becoming a Vishwaguru, a leader. Leader, of course, today India is galloping as far as economic growth is concerned. In terms of GDP, we are one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Everything is fine. But remember, we are also one of the most corrupt nations in the world today. It's a matter of shame that this tag of corruption is there on your head, on my head. In 2025, we just Google it out, India is one among the most corrupt nations in the world. We know this practical situation. Anywhere you go, this rampant cancer of corruption. No work can be done unless some dealing is done under the table. No honesty, no truthfulness. Everywhere, people driven by this unbridled greed for money, and this is the one big cancer which is ruining our country. Just imagine, if 100 crore people, if everyone becomes corrupted, corruption is the doorway to degeneration of the society and ultimate destruction. Let us understand this point. So, we have a great responsibility to cultivate wonderful human beings with higher values, Now, this is an educational institution, an institution of science. Yes, we can study the so-called empirical sciences, wonderful. But all the sciences which we study and the knowledge of which we gain, minus higher values, it can turn human beings into machines of exploitation. Skilled people, today morning only I was discussing this point. Just imagine skilled people but with no human values. They can turn into machines of rampant exploitation. Along with science and skills and technology, we want higher values. This is what Vivekananda, today if Vivekananda comes, he will be repeating the same point. I want that education which builds the human being, the man-making education, the character-building education, the life-making education. Where is that education in this land today? What are we giving to our children? Wonderful empirical sciences, technology, wonderful, great advancements we have made, dazzling advancements, no doubt about it. But the making of beautiful human beings, it's a big question. Are we really making beautiful human beings with higher values? Human beings full of love, compassion, the spirit of service, spirit of sacrifice. Family is breaking down, society is breaking down. Why? All this selfish-driven kind of adventures which we are indulging in, where is it taking? So, Vivekananda's one great prescription for building nation was character building. We need to focus upon building characters of human beings, our own children. So, my dear friends, I will not continue much more. Just to wind up what I have said. Today we are here, standing here, and we are remembering Swami Vivekananda. If Vivekananda comes here 2025, and if he looks at India today, there are reasons for him to be really happy. Because one big thing for which he will be very happy is that we have come out of that horrible, criminal situation called poverty. To a great extent we have come out, not 100%, still we have some way to go. But the kind of poverty we had some 40, 50, 60 years back, that is no more. That's a great satisfying. We don't see our own brothers and sisters starving for a morsel of food. Of course, still poverty is there, but to a great extent we have come out of it. Our brothers and sisters are no more in that condition which was maybe in the last century or even 50, 60 years back. Today we are much better off, and we are going to be better off. Seeing this, definitely Vivekananda would be very glad. Come on, chalo, let us, our children are, today at least they are sleeping with food in their stomach. It's a great thing. But at the same time, seeing this rampant corruption, literally he will shed tears. As I said, as long as we don't remove the stag of corruption which is there on your head and my head, Vivekananda's soul will not rest in peace. So if we are really followers of Vivekananda, we have to see to it that how are we going to adhere and stick to the principles of higher values. The more and more we have such a wonderful human being. Just imagine, I was just saying today morning in one of my talks, with so much corruption, if India is making this kind of a progress, it's something mysterious actually. Being one of the most corrupt nations in the world, we are galloping. Just imagine, if all the people are honest, what will happen? If 140 crore people, if they are all non-corrupt people, just imagine what will be the picture of this nation. The world should recognize us as the most noble nation in the world. Then we have become Vishwaguru. Let me repeat this point. The world should recognize us not as one of the most corrupt nations, but one of the most noblest people living in the world. Then Vivekananda's dream will come true. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, please repeat.
What an electrifying speech it was. It was as if the great Vivekananda himself had descended into you. It was terrific. And you spoke about so many politically incorrect things with so much boldness. It was reminiscent of Vivekananda's Chicago addresses, where he spoke about the evils of Christian conversion in Christian land in Chicago.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. My question is as follows. Now, Krishna says in the Gita, Shraddhamayo yam purusho yo yat shraddha sevasah. A man is what his faith is, where his faith is. Now, apart from Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, and maybe Ranganathananda also, who are the other people, famous or otherwise, who have influenced you? I ask this because who have influenced you as a person.
Influenced me? Oh.
Yeah.
This is a very personal question. Personal questions. But it's a good question if it is of some use to all of you. There's no harm in opening it up. Definitely, my first influence was Sri Shankaracharya in my life. Now see, I always see Shankaracharya and Vivekananda as two sides of the same coin. Look into the life of Shankaracharya. This single man, he revived India as well as Hindu Dharma. All that I was talking, this one person had done it alone, 1200 years back. What was his mission? I simply wonder, what must have been the passion of that person? See, I'm talking about something which happened 1200 years back. And he was a boy. That is the most, what should I say, unbelievable, incredible thing. An 8-year-old boy, by the age he was 16, he had completed all his works. And from 16 to 32, he revived this entire Vaidika Dharma, which was almost sinking into oblivion. Can you imagine? So why Shankaracharya and Vivekananda, they are our role models. I always say Shankaracharya and Vivekananda, they are our role models. And today Shankaracharya's legacy is being once again revived. It is becoming revived. But just see Omkareshwar. And I really, see, I'm not a politician. I have no inclination towards any political party. But what is good has to be admired. I have nothing to do with politics. This Madhya Pradesh government, it is reviving the legacy of Shankaracharya once again through wonderful programs. And what is the mission? Advaita. India can be united by Advaita. 1200 years back, this great sannyasi, just like the modern sannyasi Vivekananda, he united India through Vedas, through Advaita. Vivekananda is following the same methodology. He is uniting not only India. Today the mission is global. We have to unite the entire globe. What is the way? Advaita. Atman, nothing else. The scientific, verifiable principle, not some mumbo jumbo, not some God sitting up in the heaven. So if you ask me the source of inspiration, yes, my first source of inspiration has been Sri Shankaracharya, and then comes this great modern Yugacharya called Swami Vivekananda. Thank you so much.
Pranam Swamiji. Swamiji here behind.
Yeah.
Pranams. Swamiji, I have a question. Swamiji, if the decolonization or the colonization which has happened is institutionalized in our system, what solution is to that, so that we can decolonize it? For example, I'll to give an example. Swamiji, say this function is happening on a Gregorian date of 11th of January in a Christian era of 2026. On a Sunday, which is a holiday, which is a Christian holiday again, which our colonial masters used to, use it to attend their Sunday mass. So if that is a scenario where it's like a mosquito stuck in a glass room. Okay, he has to go out of it, but he knows he wants to go out, but he is not able to understand how it is going, how he is able to go out, because the glass is like transparent and we are not able to see. So it's like that, it is like institutionalized and we are not able to get out of it. So how to get out of an institutionalized, colonized system?
It's a very important question. What I think about is that at least we should be thanking our good fortune, that at least it is happening. This program is at least happening at least on Sundays, at least it is happening. That itself is a very big thing. Because a few decades back, or perhaps in the last century, nobody could have thought about this kind of a session going on where Hindu Dharma is glorified. because we had lost faith in our own dharma. Anyway, coming back to your main question, how are we going to decolonize? It will be a long drawn process.
Yeah, and you could
It will be a long drawn process, I'm saying. And we are all striving. That is why I'm saying, first of all, we Indians have, why it is not happening, See, please don't mind, I'll be speaking certain things very bluntly and very openly, without any ill feeling for anybody. The biggest enemies of Hindus are Hindus themselves. Please know this point. Now I'm making Hindus into two categories. The one, the westernized, English-educated Hindus. Those who are totally brainwashed into thinking that everything West is best. They have been brainwashed into such a thought system. And they look with a ridicule everything Hindu and everything related to Avan Dharma. This is one group. They are the biggest enemies of our own so-called our Hindus. If today, even at the national and political level, governmental level, if some changes are being brought about, these Hindus will be strongly standing against those reforms. What to do with them? For example, if you have to, I'm just wondering, after so many, we became free in 1947. And almost 77, 78 years have gone by. Still, we are struggling to reform our education system, about which Vivekananda has spoken nearly 120 years back, that we have to go back to our Gurukula system. Today morning I was telling, this yoga factor should come into our education system. What is education without yoga included into it? But yoga is a term. I will have to explain this term. I don't want to go into it. There's not much time. Yoga means, in this one term, the entire spiritual dimension is included in this one term. Without this yoga dimension being included in our curriculum, tell me what is education? That education is no education at all. So, as I said in the morning, all the so-called IITs, Indian Institute of Technology, just learning technology, where is it taking us? It should be Indian Institute of Yoga and Technology. We should make it IIYT, not only IIT. This yoga factor should be included in our education system. This Vivekananda had told 125 years back. We have to bring back that ancient education system, which is a perfect blend of both spiritual as well as material sciences. So this decolonization process has to be initiated, and it is going on. For example, 2020, we had for the first time after almost 75 years, we brought out our NEP 2020, the new education policy. It is the first very frail attempt to change the present education system. And we applaud the government for it. At least the first time this step was taken, but this is just an initial step. We have to go ahead and, literally speaking, in our classrooms, yoga, Upanishads, Gita, these should be taught to our children, our small kids. They should be growing up with this training of yoga, and the great thoughts of the Upanishads, Shivoham, 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 should reverberate in the minds of these small kids. Then see what beautiful human beings will come up. So this decolonization is a long-drawn process. It's very good today we are sitting here and talking about it, and opinion has to be built up. Today it is very easy to build up an opinion because we are living in a digital world. Social media is a very strong medium which can be utilized to create this kind of a strong opinion, and when opinion builds up, building up of opinion, slowly it will get reflected at governmental levels and legislative levels. And then slowly these changes can be brought about. So I would very strongly see today, now this website was inaugurated. Many such things can be done. We can educate the Hindus and the Indians about the importance of going back to our own roots. So see, Vivekananda came to take us back to the roots. Shankaracharya, he came and took us back to our Vedic roots. 1,000 years later, another spiritual manifestation, if he comes, he will also be striving to take us back to our Vedic roots. But there lies the solution. There is nowhere any solution is there. So, dear brother, this colonization, coming out of this colonization is a long-drawn process, and as I said, we have to strive and persevere to build the right kind of narrative and opinions in the society, and when that will build up and it will become stronger and stronger, it will get reflected at the legislative level and it will be formalized. So it's a long-drawn process. Let us do our part in whatever way it is possible.
Good evening, Mrs. Yeah. Yeah, good evening. My question is, how do we build fearlessness in the young and in the older persons?
Atman. Shivoham.
In a practical way, if you can explain to us.
Shivoham, Shivoham, Shivoham. Let the children grow up with this one mantra. There is no other mantra. Every child should know that she is immortal, he is immortal. We are unborn. We don't have death. This Vedic idea, universal idea, fearlessness. Welcome.
Thank you. And this new education policy we were talking about, even for that we had consultants from abroad. So that was the new education policy had consultants from other countries.
Consensus from other countries?
Consultants.
Maybe. I don't know the details about it. They may be. Good. Anyone who is supporting, see, it doesn't matter. Even some Westerners now it's an irony, you know. Today the West is taking our Hindu dharma seriously. We Hindus are still sleeping. Yes, any number of Westerners. Wonderful. See, actually what is West Indies? We are all human beings. For us, we don't have any distinction between West and East. And we don't have even the distinction between Hindu, Christian and Muslims. But wherever there is evil, evil should be recognized. Once again, I am saying, sometimes evil can masquerade as a religion. I repeat the sentence. I am giving a hint. Sometimes evil can masquerade as a certain faith. We don't know what it is. If it is bringing about bloodshed, it's a big question mark. How can a religion be a cause of bloodshed? Anyway, my point is, Westerners, yes, wonderful. They are all human beings. See, any intelligent human being, wise human being will subscribe. Which wise human being will not subscribe to the thoughts of the Vedas, which talks about the scientific principle called the Atman, which anybody can experience. So this is the most scientific system of the thought existing in the world. So there is no surprise that there are outsiders. So not outsiders, I don't want to use this, is a very bad word. What is outsider? No one is an outsider. For us, everybody is our own self. Everybody is an Atman. Anyhow, let's go.
Maharaj, namaste.
Yeah.
They asked me to stand and introduce myself. I said, Maharaj knows me very well. Anyway, I'm Gautam. I'm a volunteer of the Ramakrishna Ashrama in Mysore. To add to the gentleman's question, where decolonization from the Western influence, you talked about yoga. So, if I recall, we have a yoga day from where it has begun.
Yeah.
So, to append to that, Maharaj, how do we ensure our kids, our future Vivekanandas, as I see?
How do we ensure?
Our kids. In the future, the real Hindus, they respect our culture, one, and try to follow bare minimum.
One by one. First one, how will our future generation respect our culture?
Our
Parents themselves have to keep this culture alive in the family. I'm answering one by one. The answer is our parents. It's a big onus and responsibility on our parents. Let us not blame these kids. Kids just observe. They are great, intense observers of what the parents do. The value system in the house, the family. Just a few decades back, I still remember my granny and those aunts, in our day-to-day dialogues and so-called verbal exchanges, these terms called dharma, karma, moksha, these things were so common. In present day, our dialogues, do these words appear anywhere? It's gone. Dharma, karma, karma phalam, moksham, these ideologies were so natural in our family settings that ideology and philosophy itself has evaporated. The parents have to once again bring it back. What is our philosophy we should understand? Hindus, it's not the question of just going to temple. It's a grandest philosophy. Temple is a concrete expression of that great philosophy. Please understand this point. temples and images and rituals, it is only reflecting the great ideology. So Hindus should know the ideology and then do the temple seva and everything. Without knowing the ideology, just mechanically, if we just do something, that is what our present day children don't like. They ask many questions. Why are we going to temple? Why are we sitting and doing this puja? Can you not answer scientifically the philosophy behind doing this puja and everything? But that parents can only do if they know the philosophy behind it. So anyway, the point is, the first answer to this question is that the parents will have to ensure that this great thought system is lived by them. And when they live it, children will observe it and they will imbibe. And that is how generations after generations, this great tradition will be a living tradition and not a dead one. Number 2.
So, adding to that, Maharaj, I don't blame our parents, the age group that we are in, like in 40 or 50s or so. The parents themselves don't know our culture. I have seen that.
Yes.
We have talked.
This is the problem now. The parents themselves don't know what to do because they didn't get it from their parents.
No,
somewhere the link got snapped at some point of time. Now we have to revive it.
Yeah, so I take your permission to say that parents should learn a little bit of it, like in the morning doing a little puja in front of the kids so that the kids pick that up. As you said, they are great learners.
Absolutely
and
right.
Take it forward.
Absolutely right. That's what I'm saying. The parents have to keep this. See, I'll tell you a simple thing. Today, many of the Hindus have stopped celebrating our Hindu festivals. We think we are very modern. This is not modernism. I'm telling you, modernism is another name for dilution. Modernism is another name for dilution and license. I always say, what is, somebody thinks I'm very modern, means what? Become diluted and live a license-free life. Just doing whatever comes to your mind. Orthodoxy is better than modernism. Swami Vivekananda says, if you ask me to choose between orthodoxy and so-called modernism, I would 1,000 times choose orthodoxy. Because modernism is only another name for dilution and license. And we take pride in that. So once again, we have to bring those beautiful practices. See, we have seen our mothers. Mothers would get up early in the morning before all others get up. Today, of course, getting up early in the morning itself is the biggest challenge. No one wakes up before 9 o'clock in the morning. IT culture. None to blame. See, I'm sorry. Please don't take offense. This is the changing time, but whatever it is, the eternal principles remain. Society may change, but the eternal principles, that's unchanging. Somehow we have to find ways to adhere to these principles. If we don't adhere to these principles, we will have to pay the price of that. So, you see, we have seen our mothers and sisters, they would get up early in the morning, they would take bath. I have seen my own mother, the first thing that she would be doing is go and light a lamp, and she would be doing something, routine things. In those days, even I couldn't understand what she was doing. But you can see the piety in that, the piousness in that, the purity in that, the sanctity in what she was doing. She would not enter the kitchen without first becoming, what should I say, pure in body and mind. What a wonderful culture it is. These children, see, as a boy, I have seen it. See, I'm telling certain things. It has left such a deep mark on our minds. This is how parents can influence the children, not by counseling or giving them upadesha, but by living that kind of life. So Gautam, that is the answer to your question.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Yeah.
My questions, I'm a teacher in one of the schools in Bengaluru, so I find this often amongst the students. It's very difficult. I'm a teacher by profession, Swamiji, so I find it this quite very alarming because I've been teachers amongst the plight of the students. Yeah. So when it is, when we are teaching the young group, okay, the age doesn't matter. Let us take from a span of like 10 to 16 years, maybe from grade 5 to 10. So on an average, like every class, the children know they tend to lie a lot, and it comes very naturally for them, and they are not at all guilty. So how to imbibe the values of being honest amongst the children, Swamiji?
That's my question.
Again, the answer is very much similar actually. I'll tell
The
you.
parents don't have time for giving to, so I don't know how
Parents
to
don't have
address
time.
this issue.
Parents don't have time.
No, most of the parents, I've just, counseled the
busy.
parents as well. They say, no, we don't have time for our children, like.
That's the very interesting part, you know. And after, see, when these children grow up and it's a sad thing,
one more mic.
when these children become black sheep,
Stand in this, where you hand it.
then they will come to some swamis for some solution. In the childhood, they don't take the right answers. See, it's so sad when I'm using the term black sheep. What I mean to say that when they stray away from the right path, when they get into all kinds of wrong things, then the parents, they suffer, parents themselves suffer. Now they are saying that they don't have time. And a time will come, then they will understand the importance of the right time, when they should have taken the right step. So these parents have to grow in some sensitivity. We are handling living human beings, children, kids. They are the treasure of this country. They are the topmost priority. Molding them, building them is the topmost. We are building the nation. I always say, teachers and mothers, they are the nation builders. This institution is a nation building institution actually. Every school and educational institution is a nation building institution. Our nation is built in these classrooms, in our houses. These beautiful kids, they are going to be the future of this country. What are we giving to them? Mere skills are not enough. Again, I'm telling this point. Mere science, technology and skills, wonderful, that is needed. But that alone is not sufficient. Something more has to be added. If that is not supplied, we have to pay the price for it. So we have to do it. Let the parents become sensitive about it. Again, today, we have a very powerful device called social media. All these things can be, again, building up of the opinion, sharing these views in the social media. All of you can do. You're all experts in this field. Use the social media to spread these ideas, to generate this awareness among the parents. Then we can expect some good changes to come in future. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj, for a very nice and inspiring talk. So I have one question for you. So before our independence, Swamiji's message to the Indian youth was to fight for the freedom of the country, which eventually inspired a relay of revolutionaries and we attained freedom. In today's date, what is the most pressing issue the Indian youth should fight for? Who is our biggest enemy now? And if we are fighting against our own corrupt systems, how do we do so without harboring any hatred for our fellow countrymen?
I think already I've spoken about it. The biggest enemy, we are our own enemy. Corruption is the biggest disease that India is suffering from today. Not only corruption, the problem of disunity. You see any number of today, every day in the media. Sometimes when I regularly watch news channels. And really sometimes when I see the news channels, what? Somebody in Maharashtra who is not speaking Marathi is being attacked. In Karnataka, somebody who is not speaking in Kannada is being beaten up. These are nonsensical things. This lack of unity. When are we going to grow up? Just imagine, in 2025, we are bickering over this silly, nonsensical ideas. This is the big challenge. As I said, the biggest challenge today is unity. We have to understand the underlying unifying force. We are one nation, one people. Again, I repeat, my dear brothers and sisters, the most important challenge before India is, see, there are, strong forces working to dismantle this country. Please understand this point. It's a national threat. There are agencies, global agencies, and there are, external enemies we know, but there are internal enemies, they are more dangerous actually. They are working to dismantle this country. It's happening. They are the people who are instigating people to fight with each other. There are sources, they want our people to fight with each other on linguistic lines, one state fighting with other state. They want this fight to go on. They want India should not grow up. Understand the psychology behind this. So the biggest challenge before Indians today is to be very alert about these forces which want to see India dismantled and disintegrated, and totally, they want the balkanization of India. What happened in Russia? There are forces working and waiting, they're dreaming about this. We know that. I don't want to take the names. But if we Indians understand the underlying unity about this, that's why, in one sentence, the need of this time is nationalism, Rashtravada. That's what I'm saying. Little bit of fanaticism is good. In the name of liberalism, we are a spineless person talking about liberalism. Doesn't make even sense. First, we should have some spine in us. You can stand up on your feet and first you be proud about who you are, and then we can talk about universalism. I always keep on saying, without being individual, we want to be universal. What nonsense is that? First, be a strong individual, and then you can talk about universalism. So the first biggest challenge before this country will be to face these forces which want to dismantle this country. Yes, they are right between us. In this very city, you will find any number of agencies silently working in that direction. We will have to be alert and awake about that. We are Indians. We will not allow this country to be dismantled. We will not allow this country to break again. Once this blunder was committed, this country was broken into two. On what lines, you know that. This cannot be allowed again. And that particular community is waiting to break this country once again. Once again, I'm openly very speaking about this. Once this country was broken, on what lines, you know it. Which community is responsible for it, you know it. And this will happen again if we don't stand united. No, we cannot allow this to happen. Some fire should be there in all of us. We have to preserve the unity and integrity of this nation at all cost. We have to pay the price for it. And second disease which I want to say, this unity is one factor. Second point is corruption. Very sad. Very sad. Everybody is carrying this tag of, hey, sabse corrupt log hai log. Wherever in the globe if you go, Indians, oh, they're the most corrupt people. One of the corrupt peoples. We have to come out of this tag. We have to prove to the world that we are the best, most noblest human beings. That's a big challenge.
Is wherever we go, we have a form with caste mentioned there, and even we have a religious institutions which are formed out of caste only. They give preference to particular caste and they speak about only caste thing. So how can we unite them as a Hindus as a whole? And even the main religious institutions are coming up with this kind of division thing. Yeah. So how can we? Your
point, dear brother. See, this caste has got nothing to do with true Hinduism. This every Hindu should know. The caste is the concoction of some corrupt brains which happened in the last 1,000 years. In original Vedas, there is no question of any caste or caste discrimination. Vedas don't talk about any discrimination. Vedas talk about unifying everything, not discriminating. What we find in the Vedas is Varnashrama Dharma. Now, what is Varna and Ashrama? I don't want to discuss that now because that will make our discussion too long. But please understand, this much I am telling you, the degenerated caste system which we found in the last 1,000 years, it has got nothing to do with true Hinduism. It has got no place in true Hinduism. And if today, even today, if some religious institutions are existing and thriving on this caste differentiation, it is a sad thing. They have to be educated. True Hinduism has never endorsed this kind of a discrimination. This discrimination is the creation of some corrupt brains. In the garb of religion, they have been doing it. That is why Hinduism has got this bad name of being a casteist religion. No, Hinduism has got nothing to do with this caste. It is the concoction of some corrupt brains which has used the garb of Hinduism and for their own selfish interests. And this has happened. Horrible things have happened. We admit this. Yes, we have committed this mistake, but today we have to rectify this mistake. We cannot allow the society to be fragmented on caste lines. Absolutely no. We are all one people, and there is no one group is superior to the other group. Even in Varnashrama Dharma, it is not that one Varna is superior to the other. There are no special privileges to anybody. Again, see, all these things, what I am saying, you will find in Swami Vivekananda's works. That is why I very strongly appeal, please read Vivekananda's words to understand all these things which I am saying. It is all from Swami Vivekananda. He has talked about caste system. What we had is with Varunashrama Dharma, not this rotten caste system. This rotten caste system has got nothing to do with true Hinduism. So as I said, really it will be a challenge. If our religious institutions themselves are on caste lines, it is a really very sad thing. This has to change. Perhaps they may need some education. That's why we have to spread this Vivekananda's ideas more and more. Again, I would say social media. Spread these ideas. Let the common man be educated. Then what can any religious institution do? If the masses are educated in the right line, what can these institutions do? The real power lies in the masses. You are the power. If you have understood the truth, who can delude you? Who can misguide you? You don't need any religious institution to guide you. Understand the basic. That's why I'm saying, read Vivekananda. If you read Vivekananda, you will understand what true Hindu Dharma is. Then you will be able to judge what is genuine Hindu Dharma and what is farcical Hindu Dharma. So we have to be careful about this farcical Hindu Dharma and the genuine Hindu Dharma. That is the only one thing which will revive this country and the world.
Pranam Maharaj. So I don't know how to. Okay, I don't know how to pose this question. It's rather than a question, it's a thought that came in me during your speech. So you made boldly many comments and also said that little fanaticism is good. Yeah, I understand that, but you also added some other points like common sense, character building, other things. So, but don't you think that if the larger population does not have this common sense, character building, all these things, these ideas of the, you also made two distinction, true Hinduism and the so-called way this is treated nowadays. The fine line cannot be made. And as the history is, history knows this thing, Shankaracharya appeared. At that time, there was not this so-called outsider invaders. There was the local people already here, but he has to come to revive this religion. So my question is that without this common sense, without this character building, don't you think that these ideas, the religion has two parts, either one is the outer end and is the inner end. Only the outer end is we are focusing on, and the works like you talked about, like making IITs like IIYT. But if you don't know what why actually means, but that does not mean anything, because we have all the mandis and all the stuffs here, but what is the true meaning of this, we don't know. Similarly, if we make IIT, IIYT, but without making people aware, without igniting the souls, without igniting the people, how can that make a change? Like even things can be misinterpreted, like Europeans have misinterpreted our things. Even without this common sense and characters, the misinterpretations can be there. So what is the solution?
So thank you for giving your observations. Actually, there was no question in this. Essentially, you have been making observations. Good. Again, my answer to your question is read Vivekananda. That's all. Go back to Vivekananda. This is not a joke. See, what I'm saying, go back to Vivekananda. By going back to Vivekananda, you're going back to the roots of our culture and civilization. If you want to understand India, all those things which you have spoken about, go read lectures from Colombo to Almora religiously. 6 months. I beg all of you. For today, tomorrow is National Youth Day, or yesterday it was Swamiji's Tithi Puja. At least we can take a vow, This 6 months, I'll read lectures from Colombo to Almora. Can we do that?
Yes, please.
Can we do that? This much we can do at least. For the sake of our country. At least we are not going to the borders and laying down our life like our great soldiers. I always think, whenever I look at any army man and I salute them. Because they are standing and defending our boundaries, we are discussing this here. At least we are not going there and fighting the enemies there. At least this much we can do. We can read lectures from Colombo to Almora. If you read it religiously, your soul will be awakened. That's the solution.
Good evening and Pranam Swamiji. My question is about corruption. And I always feel that the corruption starts from the house. I think at a very young age from the kids, we keep saying, if you do your homework, we will give you a chocolate. If you get good marks, we will take you there, we will take you here. I think that bribing has been started from the house. My question is, I think if we have to eradicate this corruption, how can we include it in the curriculum of our children so that tomorrow we can bring a strong individual or strong kids?
Introduce yoga into our children's life.
Yes.
Introduce yoga into our children's life, because yoga, it's a small, it's a four-letter word, but it's the whole of the reality. I have no time to elaborate upon that time. Let yoga come into the child's life. It's a totally different level. That's all.
Pranam Swamiji. I am actually really honored to have been able to come here and to listen to your speech. It was actually, so as a college student, it actually really, made me think about a few different topics, and that's what I'm going to place forward here. So I have one question and an observation. So the observation I made was when you talked about the East and West, so it made me think in my mind, and so it reminded me to something I read like a few weeks back, which basically told that as Indians, so when we mention the countries such as, your Saudi Arabia or your Qatar, why do we mention them as Middle East? So we use the language of what the British have taught us and have left towards us, even though they're, to the west of us. It's become so ingrained in our personality that we as Indians, even though they're to the west of us, we call them Middle East. So that's one observation that I made, and a question I would like to ask you.
See, that is the baggage which we are carrying. What to do? What's the name?
Divyanshu.
Just imagine, Divyanshu, we are having all these discussions in English language.
Right.
And we are so good in English. I think my English was not that bad, actually.
No, it was actually.
Perhaps we are speaking English better than Kannada or Hindi, or see what has happened to us. And when you're using this particular language, the whole mindset of the Europe is coming into it. So language is the carrier of the culture. It's so powerful. Right. When you are speaking in a certain language, the whole culture of that particular group of people enters into our life. When you begin to speak Sanskrit, the Sanskrit along with those words will come back the whole culture. Language is very powerful. Now see, that's why what you are speaking about Middle is really beautiful point. It doesn't make any sense for the Indians who I would say Dubai or Saudi Arabia, but Middle East is west to us. But vocabulary, semantics, we have been just using what we have been taught, it is continuing. What to do? If you're using, now perhaps in Sanskrit language, we won't use Middle East.
Yeah.
In Sanskrit language, if we have to refer to Saudi Arabia, the term will be something else, very philosophical. But in English language, what we have been taught, it is just going on. What to do? You find the answer out.
Yep. And the question I would like to ask is, so after the discussion that we had on, social media and the role of how, it can be used for good. So one thing I'd like to point out is, so as a teenager myself, I use social media quite a lot. So as I'm scrolling through, it makes me see. So I look at a few, say, bad news from a state like UP or a bad news from a state like Tamil Nadu, and the comments you see on that video, the main ones will be that, if there's a problem in UP, that's a North India problem, it's the North Indian mindset. And if it's a problem in South India, it's a South Indian mindset. Their people are wrong, our people are fine. And one thing that makes me even more worried is that the political parties use that to their advantage. They start creating a huge...
This is what I was saying.
Yeah.
This North India and South India, my God, I can't stand this division. What stupidity it is. Even we should stop using these terms North Indian and South Indians. We are Indians. Let us take some vow this time, Stop referring to somebody as North Indian. These are all divisions created by the colonialists. Right. This is the colonial baggage which is continuing in this country. Please take this way. There's nothing like North Indian and South Indian. Now this Aryan-Dravidian divide, purely a colonial construct, my dear brothers and sisters, and how much it is governing our people. You see, there is an entire state which takes pride in being Dravidian. Swami Vivekananda banks these ideas. There's nothing like separate Dravidianism. It's all Aryan and Aryan alone. This is Arya Bhumi. This is one culture. So this colonialists, this academicians of the Europe, they created these wrong narratives and they have poisoned our mind. Today the entire South, and so again I have to use the word South India. What an irritating thing it is. These people of the South, they have been brainwashed to think that they are separate from the North. Racially, they are separate from the North. This kind of a poisoning has been done to all of us. That's what I'm saying. Once again, Swami Vivekananda's first mantra, the future of India completely depends upon this one factor. We have to be united. We are one people. Right? So I very much appreciate that you also share with my own feelings that you feel very bad when somebody says that this is North India, South India, and somebody says, oh, we in the South are better, the North Indians are bad. We are Indians. If North Indians are bad, we have to feel sad about it. It's our own brothers and sisters. I always say, every North Indian should learn one or two South Indian language, and again, North India, South India. It's a horrible thing. Can't we talk without that? Okay, let me say, every person in Uttar Pradesh should learn at least one or two languages of, say, Tamil Nadu or Andhra Pradesh, and every person staying in Karnataka or Kerala should learn one or two languages of, say, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, and Gujarat.
Right.
And break this language barrier. Now, Hindi, non-Hindi, there's so much aversion for Hindi. What nonsense is this? When are we going to grow up? And that is the ground for politics in this so-called this part of the land, India. So horrible. They thrive. These, what should I say, these parasites of these political leaders, they thrive on this issue. And we foolishly, we pour oil into that fire and we ignite it. We have to stop doing this. We are one people. Pick up as many languages as possible. This I am saying because I speak multiple languages. So I have some authority to speak like this.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for taking my questions.